Hello, everyone, and welcome
Hey.
into episode 66 of Illiana Stock Car Radio.
We missed you all terribly. I'm so glad we're back.
Yeah, we missed the July episode. I missed the July episode.
Yeah, I'm going to put that on our VP of scheduling and broadcast functions.
Yeah, I would definitely put that on them. By the time they looked up, with everything going on, July just escaped us. So,
well, I don't mean to throw you under the bus here, but it's August 25th. We almost lost another month.
Yeah, we almost did. Well, we've scheduled this one, I think, about 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah,
trying to maybe this week. Well, no, that's not going to work. And maybe this week. Well, that's not going to work. Well, finally, this week works. So we are here. Good show coming up for you guys tonight. So we've got DJ Weltmeyer coming up. Obviously, super late model racer, Grundy County Speedway, made the trip to Hawkeye Downs for the ARCA Midwest Tour this past week. So we'll talk about that with him. And then the voice of the South Bend Motor Speedway, Chris Highbaugh, will come talk to us. They got big events coming up this weekend, championship week. So we'll talk about that with him, kind of review the season a little bit and kind of hear a little bit more about his story, racer and announcer extraordinaire. So, man, Chris, what's been going on, man? It feels like it's been forever.
Man, it has been. Yeah, I mean, I talk all the time about how this is kind of that slump where if you're not running for points, you go on vacation, or if your car's wrecked, this is when you're saving up, putting it back together before the big race at the end of the season. Well, for you and me, that didn't really happen. We're still in the thick of it. We're still in the points. We're still showing up every week.
We're still giving it a good old college try.
Sometimes 3 and 4 events during the weekend. Like this past weekend, we were at Grundy on Friday. My brother was at Shady Hill on Saturday. I was at the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So that was a fun trip. And then back at South Bend on Sunday for the mini wedges.
Yep. Yeah. Last weekend before last, I was down in Indy for the NASCAR weekend.
Yeah,
the
you were having
down there.
Some vehicle issues.
Yep. Truck got everything loaded up. So the weekend before that, prior to that, wanted to replace the tires on the camper with something a little more reliable, not the Maypops that usually come on it. So we took it, got the tires fixed, got home. Shiloh noticed the truck was making a funny little ticking noise. I'm like, all right, well, I'll schedule, get it in. Took it to the dealer on a Tuesday afternoon. We were going to leave that Thursday. They said, well, I can't get you in until I took it Wednesday afternoon, said they couldn't get it in until Thursday. I'm like, well, I need to go out of town. Here's what's going on. They're like, oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Load up the camper, hit I-65. Like I'm not even on the highway yet. And the thing will not get up to speed. And then a check engine light starts flashing and the thing starts missing.
Ooh.
So turn around, head home. A couple days later, arcing spark plug wire, coil pack, whole deal. Everything's fixed up and she's ready to go now.
All right.
So let's driving to Indy 2 days in a row, since that obviously could not take our amenities with us. So it was a little rough, but we made it. And just various things going on. I think this week S4 Crew's making the car show rounds. So
I believe I saw that. Yeah, after
some of that,
putting the car back together.
It's not all the way back together yet.
It's good enough for a car show, at least.
Exactly. It's still extensive setup work that needs to go into it ahead of the following week. Lee Schuler Memorial, trying to go defend that bad boy.
Yep.
Of course, the Bentonhausen in a few weeks. So speaking of Grundy County Speedway and late model racing out there, I think it's perfect time to bring in our guest.
Good segue.
A very good segue. Well, a recent late model feature winner out there is Mr. DJ Weltmeyer. DJ, what's up, buddy?
How you guys doing?
Doing all right. Once you
broadcasting rookie here.
I know. I'm new to this, so
first timer over there, man. How's it going?
It's all good, man. It's going good. It's been a pretty good summer so far.
Yeah, I'd say so. Let's start off, man. Your most recent race made the trip out to Hawkeye Downs for ARCA Midwest Tour race this past weekend, man. Not too bad showing either, man. 17 cars, qualified 9th, finished 5th. I'll say pretty good, man. Tell us about it.
No, it was fun. It was a little intimidating at first. A lot of good cars that I'm always paying attention to and watching on that Midwest Tour TV and seeing how good those guys are doing. So to be able to get our car dialed in and set up out there and learn a new track all in one day and quick couple practice sessions and finish where we did. That was like my first top 5 in the Midwest Tour. We've only ran like 3 or 4 races with them. So to go out there and to race side by side with those guys was pretty fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, man. Talk about the track a little bit. Obviously, a lot of folks say, "Oh, it's just like Illiana." It's just like Illiana. What do you think about the place?
Well, it's unfortunately it's been a while since we've been to Illiana, 2015. So it's the first time we've actually ventured out since that even happened. I haven't even been to another track since then. So uh, going back to a half mile was fun. It was quick. A lot of elevation changes there at Hawkeye Downs. The front stretch, they kind of have the same setup. They have a quarter mile on the inside, so you have to come up out of 4, up a hill, and then down into 1. And it's a pretty significant change to where if you're in the pits, you can't even see the cars when they're going through turns 1 and 2. And then it's progressively banked. So there's a top groove, there's a middle groove, there's a bottom groove if you want it. And I mean, everybody was kind of everywhere, trying to get their cars to handle. It was a really hot day, so it was really slick early, and it tightened up there towards the end of the night. And the corners were a little longer than Illiana, so Illiana was more. You kind of had to diamond 1 and 2, and you rode out 3 and 4 pretty good, and hit those whoops section basically coming off of 4, and it was kind of like that, but just longer. So you were kind of off the gas a little longer, and letting the car work and rotate and peeling into the gas. If you got into it too soon, you're heading towards the fence early, and learning that, and then going from Grundy where you're pretty hard on the brakes and hard on the gas out of the corners. Everything kind of had to slow down to go fast, kind of thing. So we learned that, got used to the track, and by the end of the night, we made some changes in the middle of the race when Travis Sutter blew up. So we had a chance to come in and make some changes, and we went the right way. And in the end of the race, we were going the right direction, which is what we were kind of after the whole time.
Sure. And what led you guys make the decision to drive out that way?
It was kind of up in the air. We really didn't know what we were going to do this year. We were going to run Grundy, as much as we can, and kind of dial this car in. And we didn't test a whole lot. We had some issues earlier in the season with the motor going out in the first week. So we kind of sat out for 6 weeks, and we didn't really have a whole lot of time on the car. So it took a while to get going, and we weren't going to go anywhere until we started to roll at Grundy. And then it just kind of lined up. We made the decision, if we're surviving Grundy on Friday, the next week we're going to go and try our hands at the Hawkeye Downs race. And it turned out pretty good the week before. So we're like, all right, let's give it a shot now. I think we're close as we're going to get right now, and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. You talk about the week before. That's when you picked up that feature win on had Eddie Hoffman DQ. You got to take us back to that night, man. And because, like you said, you've been last several weeks, you guys have really been rolling at Grundy, and finally get that a feature win there.
Yeah, man. My dad and I have been working really hard on the car, and we got great help from Phil Martin and Jimmy Huberger. They help us out at the track, and a couple of my buddies are stepping in, Casey Martin and Ryan Quinn, and a couple guys when we got that rain out on a Friday and we raced on a Saturday. So I got a lot of help from all around. My sponsors, Jim Bobeck at Jeff's Engine Masters, Bob Doherty, BD Motorsports, Steve Denovi at Denovi Heating and Cooling, Hoosier Tire, all those guys, man, they're stepping up, and everything's kind of clicking at once. It's been getting better and better the more laps we've gotten on this car, and we're making strides, each and every week. We're just trying to improve, and it kind of took a while to get going, but like you said, once we kind of found something that kind of helped us a lot, we kind of been heading more and more in that direction until it's too much, so we're just trying to creep up to that speed.
Right. Yeah. And let's say on that rain out and then the double feature night, you guys were lucky to walk away with, a fairly fresh race car. Some other of us weren't so lucky, man. How'd you work your way through all that mess?
Well, the first one was pretty quick, man. It was maybe 6.5, 7 minutes or something for 25 laps, and 4 tires. They're so hard to do something at Grundy. The way things are set up right now, it's just 30 laps. It's hard to get it done from anywhere but the front 2 rows. It seems like everybody's so close. I mean, the week before we're qualifying 10th, and we're a 10th and a half off. And in the next week we're second by 0.004 or something like that. I mean, everybody is just so close. And if you hit that invert, it kind of helps you out. The guys that start on the front row are not slow. Like, there's no junk in the field, whether it's 12 or 20 cars. If you're hitting the invert and you're on the front row, we have Ricky Baker or Kelly or me or, Sontag or any of those guys that start up front are, they're quick, and you got to run them down. Clay Kurtz, he's getting, really quick, and prime example, he led every lap of the race last week, and we weren't there, but I was definitely paying attention to everything that's going on. And it shows how good all these cars are from front to back. So speed is important, but track position is ultimately important. And yeah, we inverted for that second race, and just kind of chaos just happened. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Everything's a second faster here. So this year with the pavement going on the track, so cars got collected. Some guys tried to avoid, and I guess James kind of ran out of room there on the top side, and ended up going over. And everybody, when you hiccup, it hiccups, and accordion's a lot faster. So it was just bad place, bad time there for that incident. But yeah, we got lucky by being ahead of that, and had a quick car in that race as well.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you kind of mentioned the track position game at Grundy, and I mean, we've all been there. We've all kind of seen it. Is the pavement really playing into that? Just so much grip that it's just hard for everybody to pass?
I don't know. It's just there's not a whole lot of fall off. We went to these other tires, and the chassis don't really show up until there's about 30 or so laps on the tires. I mean, when the first 20 laps, everybody's running 15 ones and twos, and then you run that. I mean, you just don't fall off until there's laps on the cars. These 2-tire nights, I feel like they're a little bit more racy. Cars are quick for 10 or 15 laps, and then they'll start to get a little tighter, a little loose, and then you can kind of work around some guys. But yeah, track position certainly helps. But we're qualifying pretty good, so we're hitting the invert, and we're ending up starting 2, 3, 4 rows back, and it's the price you pay. But it's something that we all have to go through and all have to do. We're racing out there, so yeah, it's just how it is this year. So we're digging.
Yeah. So I want to take back a few weeks before. I'll say one of the last nights I was there, you were racing Hoffman pretty hard. You had to lead, racing him pretty hard. Yeah, I've waited several weeks because I'm sure that one still kind of stings. But so you guys are racing real hard up front. You end up going into turn 3. Talk me through what happened there, because obviously I'm in the pit stands, so I see and feel one thing. Plus, we're running third, so I'm highly politicking one very important thing.
Yeah, hoping he goes back. Yeah,
yeah. So what happened there? Because it was hard to see from my standpoint.
Well, we were kind of mirroring each other lap times. Those like pretty much the whole race. We got to the front, and I couldn't lose him, and he couldn't catch me, kind of thing. And we were just kind of stagnant within 2 or 3 feet of each other. And we just starting to tighten up a little bit. And he was slowly catching us. After that, there was like 7 to go restart. And we kind of had a bad corner, and he had a good corner. He drove it in there. And when you're the second place car, it's kind of easier to have somebody to have in front of you as a marker to, maybe if I roll in another, 6 inches a foot, that's a big difference. Speed wise for the middle of the corner, and he still had some time to try some stuff. There's still 3 laps to go, so he drove it in there pretty good, and we just didn't get it cut enough in the middle. He got a good run under us going down the backstretch, and I feel like we wheel hopped a little bit. I didn't just spin out myself, but we made some contact, and we both got a little loose, and unfortunately I just wasn't able to save it. So it was really disheartening. It's the roller coaster of racing where you're is the highest of highs, but I wasn't counting any chickens before I hatched with him in my mirror for 25 laps or anything like that. But it was just disappointing to know, how good of a run we had, and to not be able to seal the deal off was tough. But to know that we went from running 6th and 5th, the few weeks before to getting to the front, within 5 or so laps, and being able to stay up front. That was a good thing. And then, weeks after that, 2 weeks after, every week after that, we've been just getting better and better. So it was definitely a struggle, and it was one that got away, but it definitely it built some I don't know, some more drive in us, I guess you could say.
I think that's kind of the point when your season started to flip.
I think so. I mean, it was if not physically, mentally, it was like you try to go over it in your head. What can you do different? What if what changes could I have made throughout the day to make a better car later in that race or something like that? And I mean, it's 2020, but it's just go back the next week, make sure everything's good, no leaks, anything like that. Try to make a positive change and make it so he doesn't have that opportunity with 5 to go. Be 3 car lengths, be 5 car lengths ahead to where he can't get there. And be faster. So obviously everybody else is going to work on their stuff, and I'm hoping to get to that point. Maybe one of these days we can. I want to get it done the right way. I mean, but we're doing, like I said, we're by the rules and everything like that, and we're learning this car. So we're working really hard, and yeah, it's getting better every race we bring this car out. So I'm excited to go to Grundy this Friday.
Yeah. So you mentioned learning the car. I know you guys did some car updates and whatnot over the off season. What's that process been like? And I'm sure it's probably been frustrating at times. Like, why can't we get our arms around this thing? And so just kind of detail that process of what that has been like.
Well, it's been tricky. I mean, we went and we have this left-hander we did some work on too, and we got the Toby car updates to it. So we just been trying to figure it out, keeping it off the track and learning how it operates. It's really similar to the left-hander, but it works pretty good, So we're it's not magic. You have to work, as hard as you can on all this stuff, whether it's a Port City or a left-hander or Van Dorn or whatever those guys are running, those Hamke cars or anything. It's hard work and effort. It's all metal, but finding what makes that metal work the way you want it to is the trick of it. So I think laps are the most important, and we were shorted by 6 weeks, and I think that was the biggest hiccup was we didn't get time to tune on it, and later in the season it's when everybody's at their peak performance and getting better and better. So just figuring out this car, knowing what I like to feel in it, and knowing how it reacts and what it reacts to specifically to get that feel has been it's just taken time. I mean, that's all it is to it that really has helped us gain the speed that we have, and we're not done yet, I hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking ahead, you mentioned Grundy this Friday night. Then I mean, we're closing in on the end of the season here. So Lee Schuler Memorial and the Bettenhausen. You mentioned chassis really don't show up until you get some laps on the tires, and those two races are going to have laps on the tires. So talk about what you're looking forward to those couple bigger, longer races coming up to close out the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. 61 laps is a heck of a lot of times. The double feature, I wish we had more of them, more longer races during the season. We had the twin features and stuff, but 25 laps, man, it's a run. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like a race sometimes. And with no cautions, it's hard to get a reset on these things. I don't remember the last time we had a caution, other than, I mean, we had one on like lap 1 of I believe it was the 13th race, the Friday the 13th. But besides that, I mean, the twin features didn't have a caution. The race before that didn't have a caution. 4 or 5 races in a row. If you start 6th or 8th or something like that, and get up to 3rd or 4th, you're kind of there, because by the time you get there, they're half a track ahead, just from the fact that 1 or 2 rows, if you catch a break, I mean, the starts are so much more important if you're not getting the restarts during the race. So with the 61 lapper, there's definitely a chance for more cone restarts, a chance to go to the outside and get a couple cars and pass some guys just under caution and catching a break like that. And then with 100 laps, it's going to be everything, just like last weekend. We had only 2 restarts there, but I mean, that's the quality of guys we're racing with, and the guys at Grundy as well. These guys they're not making mistakes. There's not too many accidents, and it's going to show up in 100 laps, if not in 25 or 30 for sure. So,
sure. So besides that, the big events coming up at Grundy, any other touring plans, any other plans for the rest of the season, or is that going to pretty much wrap it up for you guys?
I think we might try to do maybe a couple of the races at Oktoberfest. Possibly, we don't know yet. Obviously, it all depends on how it ends at the Bettenhausen and the Schuler race. But maybe there's a futures race on Thursday. It's a 25 lapper, and then there's a 333 lappers, the Dick Trickle 99 on Friday that we might do, and who knows? There's a 200 lapper on Sunday that possibly could happen as well. So we don't know as far as that goes, and then anything past that, it's kind of up in the air, and who knows? We may end up in Florida or something like that, doing some racing down there. I don't know. A kid can dream. You never know.
Yeah, that's right, man. Well, I know you've got some broadcasting to do over the
hold on.
Well, Goodacre's actually going to show up.
What do you mean show up? I can't get a word in edgewise between you two.
You literally are between us.
Well, exactly. So before we let him go, he's got to do some advertising. Because I hear there's this new iRacing league that somebody's putting together.
I'm trying to make it happen. I don't know how it's going to do, but we have the Grundy League that we're going to do. Probably I'm trying to figure out days for that. Fridays are kind of rough for everybody in the off season or something. So maybe making a Thursday league and kind of getting everybody from all over the Midwest and all over the country and stuff. We know we have our staple guys from Grundy we want to get in there and stuff like that. So we'll try to figure out a way to make that happen. But it's called GARS, the Global Auto Racing Series. So it's coming together. We got a Facebook page and Discord and all that stuff. So we're gonna have some recruitment races, get some people in there, and we'll figure out how it works. Maybe broadcaster or something. I know a guy with a network and some good announcers he's got working for him too. So
funny how that works, isn't it?
yeah,
Exactly.
it is. It all comes together. Yeah. So, yeah.
So it's a good egg. You threw me off, man.
I did.
I
I know.
Like I knew where I was at, and then you just totally blew the whole thing
Well,
out. Man.
I couldn't let DJ let this opportunity slip.
I couldn't. Yeah. So check out. Yeah, it's GARS on Facebook. Hit it up.
Man, the Driving DJ Network and also Driving DJ Network 2.
That's right.
And
right.
2.
Yeah. Busy bees. We're gonna be in the winter time, so check all that stuff out. It's gonna be a fun winter.
Yep. Fun. Yeah. So any other sponsors you want to plug before we let you go? The energy or what? I appreciate all the support. The fans have been great this year. My fiance Erica, my mom and dad, sister Taylor, and her fiance Jeremy. It's been great, and I'm looking forward to these final races here this year, and we're just hoping to get better. Appreciate all my help sponsor wise, who I previously mentioned, and Rowdy Energy. Got to thank them too. Try them out, 2 for $5 and stuff at Casey's. They're pretty good. So we get them over here from the Wise Way, man. They're pretty good.
There you go. Yeah, that's where it's at. Glacier Ice. Check it out. 0 cal.
See, they got like a couple new flavors out, like cotton candy, grape and stuff, like blue
raspberry. Yeah.
When do we get Michael Waltrip on this thing? We went straight on commercial.
Well, hey, man, you got to pay the bills, right?
That's right. So you got a sweet helmet this year from him. So
there you go, man.
There you go.
So all right, man. Well, we'll let you go do your broadcasting thing, man, and definitely look to see you at the track pretty soon.
Sounds good. Thank you guys. Appreciate you for having me on.
Yep. Thanks. DJ Weltmeyer. I see, always a good time, always a good interview, reliable. It's always good stuff with DJ.
Fashionably on time.
Yeah, I can't say he was late because he was here at 7 o'clock.
He made it on time. He
was at
dick
7
trickled us a little bit. He unloaded the car as we were lining up for qualifying.
Yeah, so I give him that. He was here, but always good. Driving DJ Network, obviously all that stuff. That we do kind of in the off season. Just have a good time with it. Have fun for everybody, and kind of keep that racing camaraderie going. Mm-hmm. So which is befitting that we kind of do some of the broadcasting and some of the announcing, because now we have a true announcer coming up. Hey,
there we go. Segue again.
Maybe he can give us some pointers how not to screw up, because I know we tend to screw up on things. So let's bring him in, the voice of the South Bend Motor Speedway, Mr. Chris Highbaugh. Chris, welcome in, buddy.
Hey, you're still awake.
Hey, everybody.
We didn't bore him to sleep. He's in a chair, rocking a little bit.
Remember, he's on crazy Eastern fast time too, so this is past his bedtime.
That's the first time I've heard of fast times, but yeah, I guess so.
Well, we're slow back over here on this side of the timeline, so
it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. How things going over there, Chris?
Pretty good, man. Just enjoying summer. It's been a couple hot days here. The AC doesn't really work all that very well at work, so I'm glad to be in the AC at the house tonight.
Oh, I hear you. Our plant, half of it is not air conditioned either, and that it's sweltering when you get out there on some of these hot and humid days, man. So I definitely understand that. So glad you came. I touched.
All right, there's your first pointer. Don't hit the microphone.
Don't hit the microphone stand. Pointer number 1. Glad you came in, talked to us for a little bit. Chris said you graciously volunteered for this torture.
Crazy as it sounds, I did. I laid right across those railroad tracks.
Yeah. So
trying to go to the concession stand and get food. Wait.
So we'll make sure to scare you off, and you'll probably never want to come back. But figured it was a good opportunity to bring you in. We've talked to you kind of in passing at the track and whatnot, and figured bring you in, kind of get to know you a little bit, and kind of
now it's our turn.
Yeah, now it's our turn a little bit. We're kind of looking forward to it, man. So obviously you're a racer turned announcer. So I kind of want to know a little bit about your story, man. How did you get into racing to begin with?
Started out really young. My mom and dad loved going to New Paris. My dad loved it because he could drink there and pack a cooler and party it up with his friends. So Been going to the races since I was about 5 years old, and it was just always my dream. I kept telling all my friends at the track, I'm going to be out there one day. I'm going to do this. And it was blowout weekend, and I was like 15 years old, and my friend comes running up to me, and his mom and dad had a 1992 Dodge Dynasty 4-door grocery getter. This was their daily driver. And next thing I know, somebody slaps this gigantic, like extra large helmet on my head. It didn't even fit. Like I could take the whole helmet and just spin it around. And they dropped the keys in my hand and they said, "We're tired of you running your mouth saying you're going to be out there someday. This is your opportunity." And I was like scared to death. And so, I mean, I didn't even know where to take the car to get out on the track. At this point, it had all been talk. So I find my way back there, get the car out on the track, and they started us 3 wide.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and there was a car to the inside and a big old Cadillac V8 to the outside. And I know the difference between a rear-wheel drive and a front-wheel drive car. And I just said to myself, my God, I got to get the whole shot or I'm in trouble. And I got the whole shot, got the lead, and it was a 3-lap race. And the last lap, the Cadillac got to my inside, and he got up to my door and started pushing me up the track. And I ran out of track, and he run me right into the wall, and I went airborne. The right side tire jumped up the wall, climbed the wall. I almost, on my driver's side, but I didn't. I came down across his hood, and I never lifted. I was scared to death. I thought the guy was going to kill me if I, didn't stay out in front of him. And I crossed the start finish line as the winner. And it was so scary and so exciting at the same time. And I got back and I thought, oh my God, this guy's going to kill me. Both mirrors were knocked off the car. The whole right side was pancaked. It had a white stripe down the side of the car. And something was busted in the steering. I knew that. But I got back and the guy, he just ran towards me. I thought, oh my God, here he comes. And he just grabbed me up and gave me a big bear hug. And he said, "Don't worry about the car. We're going to get it fixed. And you're running the Enduro next week."
Oh, jeez.
And so sure enough, next week we got the car fixed. It actually busted the knuckle on the left front spindle. So somehow it stayed together for me to cross the line. But we fixed that, and we put a bunch of weight in it to help it turn. We put some staggered different size tires, smaller tires on the left and bigger on the right. And yeah, the car didn't make it. It ended up overheating and blew a head gasket. But yeah, I had a fun time. And then that just fueled it, man. That was like pouring gasoline on a fire for me. I was like, I've got to get into a real race car someday. So my next step was to actually get a race car. I went and I was driving down the road one day and I saw this 4-cylinder Mustang, just a regular car. It wasn't a race car yet. And I ended up buying it for $275. I took it over to Brandon Maynard's shop and I dropped it off to Brandon. I said, "Hey, I want you to put a cage in it. I bought a seat. We'll put a seat in it, just prep it for racing." And Brandon calls me back the next day. He's like, "Man, I don't know how to tell you this, but this car is scrap. It's junk." He's like, "I don't know if this was like a Michigan or Wisconsin car, but it's just, the frame is just all rusted out." He goes, "There's nothing to weld to in the strut towers." So sorry about that. We ended up
Welcome back.
scrapping that car out. And then Brandon was like, "Hey man, I'm building a street stock Camaro over here. You're, for the time and money, you might as well just jump into a street stock." And I was like, well, I kind of wanted to start out in the 4-cylinders because there was like an A, B, C, D feature at New Paris, but there was also an A, B, C, D feature at New Paris in the street stocks. Mm-hmm. So it took us 1.5 years to build the street stock and get the motor done. My dad helped me out with that. We just went out there with a plain Jane stock 350 engine that we pulled out of his old 79 pickup truck, and we raced like 4 or 5 races with it to finish out the year. And then my dad was like, "Okay, let's get serious. We'll put a cam in it and beef it up just a little bit." So that was my start. 2004, I actually ran 3 races at New Paris Speedway. And then 2005, I pretty much ran most of the season, but we got wrecked a few nights, you know, learning curve. Bent a lot of rims, cut down some tires. It's a little rough on me, you know, trying to learn as a young kid and a rookie. And I mean, the car was really good. The car was way better than the driver in the beginning. So we were in the C feature my first couple nights, and I was probably wasn't ready for the C feature. And then we moved up. We got a little faster. We bought some tires. That helped us more than anything. We bought our first set of tires. I was like, oh my God, we're 4/10 faster now. So yeah, and once we figured the sway bar out, Charlie Cotton, a really good racer out there, he helped us one night, and I was in the B feature, and I finished ahead of Charlie Cotton, and he was pitted next to us. And Charlie got out of the car and put his hand on my shoulder. He said, "Good run, kid. I'm done helping you now."
That's the way it always works.
Yeah.
People will help you till you start beating them.
That's right. So I had a lot of fun in the street stock. Then in 2006, I went to M40 Speedway with the same car, and Steve Brown owned the track at that time, and they had a lot of guys that were really cheating up the Camaros at the time, you know. And Steve's like, "Hey, I just got to let you know, Chris, you're not running this thing as a street stock. There's no Camaros being run in the street stocks. They all had to be like the metric Monte Carlos and stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Okay, well, what class are we running?" He's like, "You're going to be in the sportsman division." I was like, "Oh my gosh." So we went home and we talked about it. And my dad was like, "Well, what do you want to do? You want to just go back to New Paris?" And we had some rough nights at New Paris. We got tore up a lot, but we did have 3 feature wins, you know, that kind of cut my teeth and learned from there. So I said, "You know what? We're committed. Let's just try running this car as a sportsman." And I raced against guys like Richie Merzero, Mickey Cornwell, Cindy Stremme. I mean, there was some big names. Jeff Achaska. There was some big names that year in the sportsman division, and we ended up finishing 5th. We had perfect attendance, and I loved racing M40. There was more room, you know, and if you're kind of a slower guy, those guys will just rocket past you down the back stretch. They're not laying a bumper to you in the corner. So we had a pretty good season, finished 5th in the points. And I don't know, just I spent so much money on racing that year. I was like, well, and by that time I was in college and everything, so I couldn't race pretty much, you know, every weekend. It just cost me too much money. So I just decided to cut back a little bit. And then I was like, man, before I get out of this racing thing, I really want to have a late model someday. And so a few years ago, I ended up trading my street stock to Logan Maynard for a Bear late model chassis that used to belong to Brian Ross. And Brian Ross had a lot of success with this car at Plymouth Speedway. He knocked the clip off of it a few times, but he's a good guy, man. He knows what he's doing with these cars. So it had a new front clip on it. And again, I was playing the game of I need to buy some suspension parts and get this thing as a roller and get it on the track. So yeah, I took it over to the Maynards again. They helped me finish it up and scale it out and get it ready. And we raced it pretty much everywhere, man. I went to New Paris with it, went to Kalamazoo. I tried to run a full season up there, but I just didn't have money for tires a few nights, and those guys ate me alive. But man, I had a lot of fun, and yep, we just kind of had our deal in the late model, and then we went to the blowout at New Paris, and I won the B feature, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to top this win right here, because I just do it for fun. I don't have a crew. Right. It's my wife and I and some friends, and I'm low budget. You know, I'm weekend to put into the car. So we had a good time, a good run with it, and I ended up selling the car to Charlie Hanna, and he ran it a little bit this year. He ended up having some motor troubles, and he kind of parked that car. And the big story with him was his dad took a car that they had that they raced about 30 years ago, and his dad repurposed it as, you know, kind of updated it for late model racing, and he's been running it about the last 5 or 6 nights at South Bend Motor Speedway. Wow. Yeah, pretty crazy story.
Yeah, no kidding. That is crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to make that transition to being, okay, I'm going to be behind the wheel, now I'm going to be in the announcer's booth behind the microphone?
Well, I got the opportunity when Steve Brown owned M40 Speedway. I showed up, and towards the end of the year, Steve asked me, he's like, hey, I'm kind of looking for another announcer next year. Ricky Bear was the announcer. Tony Eldridge did some announcing. Andy Jack, Jason Seltzer. It was kind of whoever was available, really. And I said, yeah, man, I'm down for that. Well, Steve ended up selling the track that year, and Kevin Kosher bought it.
Yep.
And Steve goes over to South Bend. So I ended up announcing 1 year for Kevin Kosher, but it's a funny deal. I got to tell this story how this works out. So Kevin calls me in January, and I was all worried because, you know, Steve told me, hey, you could announce for me next year, or co-announce at least.
Right.
And now it has a new owner, so I don't know what's going on. So in January, I get a call from Kevin Kosher. He's like, hey, I need an announcer for next year. And I kind of heard through the grapevine you were lined up anyway. Do you want to do it? And I said, absolutely, I'll do it. So I show up opening night, and I go find Kevin Kosher because that's really the only guy I know at the track other than the drivers. And, you know, it's opening night. I'm there to do my deal. And he walks up, he goes, hey, Chris, I want to introduce you to somebody real quick. I was like, all right. So he walks me up, this gigantic guy, Ricky Bear. And I've heard Ricky Bear announce a lot, but I never met him. I didn't know who he was. And so Kevin walks up, he goes, Chris, Ricky, Chris. And boom, he turns around and he's gone. And so Ricky looks at me, goes, so are you racing tonight or what are you doing? I said, nope, I'm announcing. And Ricky's like, really? Where are you announcing at? And I said, well, here. And Ricky goes, oh, okay. And I said, well, what do you do? And he goes, well, I'm the announcer. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was just a really awkward moment. And Ricky goes, he's an awesome guy. He goes, let's try this again. He goes, nice to meet you. I'm Ricky Bear, your co-announcer at the M40 Speedway this season. And that's how we hit it off, man. Ricky, he taught me so much about announcing, and I was so scared and nervous behind the mic, and he kind of brought me out of my shell and gave me some pointers. And yeah, so I owe a lot to Ricky. I owe a lot to Steve Brown and also to Kevin Kosher for the opportunity.
Now I'm curious now, you know, offered you some pointers and gave you some advice. I'm curious what some of those lessons were that you learned.
Don't hit the microphone stand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other than don't hit the microphone stand.
So one thing was kind of what not to say during a red flag. Just kind of be quiet, because I'm a talker. So Ricky's like, yeah, anytime you get a red flag, just kind of mellow out, chill out, try not to say too much, because obviously fans are going to see the situation differently, whether they're a fan of the driver or not. And you get some chatter in the crowd. So obviously the driver's safety and the track crew safety is paramount at the track. So you put that pretty much above it all, your announcing ability. And, Ricky was like, hey man, your job is not just to talk about racing, but try to promote these guys and these girls, and also help sell some popcorn and beverages from the concessions. So he kind of really made me see the whole picture as far as, racing is a business, and the track's there to make money and put on a good show, and it's entertainment for the fans. So he kind of opened my eyes to the whole racing thing. It was way more diverse than I ever thought it was,
Sure. Yeah. Now, being a former racer, I mean, how does that help with being an announcer? You find it easier maybe to explain things, or because you kind of sat in those cars, it's kind of easier to talk about what's going on?
Absolutely. I think that's probably my greatest attribute is probably the fact that I've been behind the wheel, and I'm not the greatest driver in the world. I'll admit that. Me. But I just had fun when I was racing, and I tried to learn, and I love taking what I know about a race car and telling it to the crowd. And I walk through the pits each night, and I see guys working on their cars. I can see guys, maybe resetting toe or making a shock adjustment or making a panhard bar adjustment. And I try to relay that to the crowd. That way the crowd's in it. They're like, oh man, his car was out to lunch for hot laps, and he's you know, he's so much better in the heat race, and maybe they can see the progress throughout the night of that driver in that car and what that team has done as far as adjustments. So I just try to relay that information to the fans, because not every fan knows what a race car is and how it works and how to adjust on it. So I just try to educate the crowd. I like to have fun with it.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to say, if you're having fun, the crowd's having fun, I think that's when everything's kind of the most successful.
Absolutely. So yeah, I get some drivers that, you know, they're like, hey man, if you see me doing something, you know, I don't really want people knowing what we're doing. So, you know, I just feel like I'm the kind of guy, like if I'm walking by somebody's car in the pit area, they can trust me. I'm not going to go say anything to any other team or anything like that. I just get caught up in it like I'm a fan myself. That's how I want to be treated at the track. I'm a huge fan of racing first and foremost, and I'm just blessed and lucky to be in the situation I'm in.
Sure. And I mean, I can imagine, you know, it's kind of like myself. It's like when you see people working on their cars, it's kind of that piques that curiosity, that mechanical curiosity. It's like, man, okay, what's going on? What are they doing? You know, what are they trying to adjust for? And, you know, kind of trying to get a better understanding of the whole scenario, you know?
Absolutely. And I love learning about that too, because, you know, each team and driver, they're trying different things every week. So a lot of people don't realize that, but I mean, you get your car close and then you have some success, and maybe you win a couple nights in a row in it, and you're like, okay, this is our setup. And then you put a new set of tires on it and the car's just absolute garbage. And so you talk to any driver, they're going to tell you they're always making adjustments, they're always chasing the track conditions. The track changes nightly. You guys know that. So I'm a huge fan. I want to learn all about that, the adjustments they make. And, you know, now I'm kind of into the iRacing thing and trying to apply some of those same adjustments to the internet racing. It's pretty interesting.
So now that brings a question. Are you yourself doing some of the iRacing stuff?
Yeah, I'm into it now. So nice. I've got a rig, and I like the street stock and the Sportsman Late Model pretty much are my two favorite. I really like the modified. It seems like the modified, you can really just drive the heck out of it and abuse those tires, and you know, especially if it's a shorter race. If it's a longer race, obviously you got to take care of your equipment, but those short races, it's just out the gate, you just go for broke.
Yeah, hey, that's what I've noticed too. And yeah, those are all really fun cars, and you'll have to come race some of the Grundy leagues and stuff with us this
absolutely.
This
yeah, I hope to.
We'll get them in there. But so like as an announcer, you know, you kind of think about some of the races you've called, some of the moments you've been up in the booth for. Is there a moment you know, that sticks out, one that's really special, one that kind of really that, like I just said, you know, stood out to you that you thought, man, that was just really cool?
Probably the two biggest events for me would be number one, I got to call Brian Ross winning a feature up at M40 one time, and Doug Hanna and Brian Ross were my two favorite racers growing up as a kid. I just idolized those guys. I still do. And man, I just get the chills every time I see Brian Ross at the track. He was actually out at South Bend about 4 or 5 weeks ago for the Gambler, for the street stock race. So I just get all excited when I see him behind the wheel. So to call a race, and I got to interview him afterwards, after the race at M40, that was special to me. And then another very special event was at South Bend. We celebrated Doug Hanna. Last year we kind of really picked, or actually it was a year before COVID, but we really set our sights on people that, you know, maybe retired now, but really had an impact on racing, not only at South Bend, but pretty much everywhere in the area. And it was Doug Hanna night at the races. And to have Charlie and Amy and Sage and all the Hanna family up there. And I mean, here I am putting a microphone in my hero's face. You know, it just, I was so nervous. I was giddy like a little schoolgirl, but it just meant so much to me to be able to do that. And it's moments like that I realize what they mean to me and how special those moments are to me.
Sure.
Something absolutely. I'll cherish forever.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I think one thing for all of us, man. When you're in racing, it's you kind of get to a point, and then sometimes like I've done it, where you just kind of stand back and like, man, that's just really cool to be talking to this person, or especially with you like doing this show. We talked to like some of the local Chicago legends like a Dave Weltmeyer, guys like that. You're just like, wow, that's really cool,
Yeah.
So definitely.
And another event I want to just talk about for a moment, the South Bend Showdown, which we've got coming up. We'll promote that a little bit, but Kalamazoo has their Super Shoe Nationals, which is a huge deal. Hundreds of people just go up there, and probably thousands actually, camp and race and drink and party. And Jason Seltzer was kind enough to loan the microphone to me for the Street Stock D feature one night, and man, I loved it. I had so much fun with that. So I just try to get in the zone and really get into the race myself as a fan. And it doesn't matter where I'm at. I love to go see racing anywhere and everywhere.
Which kind of brings up a question to me, one that just popped into my head, off the top of my head, everything going on right here. It's, how do you remember everything? Because like you walk through the pits during the night, you see a bunch of different things, talk to a bunch of different people, and obviously you've got several hours, to fill talking. How do you remember everything, keep everything straight, and everybody's names, and how do you do that?
Well, I got to thank my wife, Terry. She helps me out with, we've got a little black binder that we keep and we update every week as far as like points, wins, fast qualifiers, heat race wins, features. And she just helps me out with that. And so I'm kind of reading off of that as the night goes on, and I'll kind of study that. I've got some downtime at the track. So before the races start, I'll flip through there and just remind myself, refresh my memory, who's leading the points and how tight it is, or who won last week, different things like that. But as far as my memory goes, it's kind of crazy you ask that, because I can remember pretty much anything about racing. You ask me something about geometry and math and in high school, I'm out. I'm folding, but I haven't forgot my anniversary yet, so we're doing something right.
Yeah, two big things: your wife's birthday and anniversary. If you forget those,
right.
You're kind of screwed. So, so let's shift gears just a little bit. Kind of get into the South Bend action this year. We got big night coming up, championship night coming up this week.
You're going to ask him to use the notebook, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to ask him to go off the top of his head a little bit. He might have the notebook there, but I'm gonna say tightest points battle you can get. Outlaw Late Model, Steve Stacy and Jaden Katashi tied for the points lead.
Yeah.
Kind of talk us through that and kind of the season that they've had out there in the late models, and kind of how you see this thing going down to the end.
Well, first of all, let me say Jaden started out on kind of Rich Bull's team. Rich had the two cars. He's got the blue car and the yellow car. So Jaden and his dad, Brandon, from the R&B Car Company, really great guys. Jaden gets in the yellow car, and it didn't take him any time at all to find speed. In fact, I think the first night he was in the car, he set fast time, which was incredible. I mean, he's racing against Rich, his car owner, 35-year veteran, Steve Stacy, Kevin and Berner fast. I mean, Andrew DeFries, some of those guys, they're fast as soon as they unload. And for a young kid, he's our youngest guy in the Outlaw Late Model division. For a young kid like that to get in that car and go that fast is pretty remarkable.
Right.
And then on the flip side of it, you got Steve Stacy. This guy's a true wheel man. Man, I think he could drive a grocery cart to victory lane if it had a motor in it. But man, I've seen Steve. His ability is just incredible. He drives that car so loose off the corners. Like I don't know if that's a secret or what he's got going on, but man, it's just like he's just planting the gas all the way off the corner, and he's basically drag racing you down the front stretch and the back stretch. But Steve Stacy, multi-time track champion, and he's had some health issues this year. So he actually missed 2 weeks ago. He was out of the car. So, that pending, I mean, Steve may have had a little bit bigger lead, but it's coming down to the wire, and it's really a 4-car shootout. You got Rich Bull in third and Kevin Sauer in fourth. And I mean, it really could go to anybody. Obviously, Jaden and Rich are, they're a little more spread out than Kevin and Rich, but you never know. Anything can happen on championship night.
Yeah, exactly. And then next closest battle looks like in the front wheel drives, got Derek Davis and David Keys. Looks like anytime you look up in the 4-cylinder divisions, it's a Davis in victory lane, man. So handicap that one for us.
And he's been on fire since he got that car painted up nice. It was all nice and purple this year, and he didn't
Right.
have a sticker on it. He
Right.
just showed up at the track, and we're like, "Who's this guy?" And it's like, oh, the transponder goes by, and I'm like, oh, that showed up as Derek Davis. Okay. Then like the next week he had, a couple of weeks later, he shows up and he's got it all stickered up, and man, just a gorgeous looking front wheel drive car. And that thing is just as fast as it is gorgeous, But I'll tell you what, that Davis family, they're so much fun to hang out with and talk to in the pits. And, you got a rivalry there because you got 4 or 5 of those guys racing, and Derek's been the guy to beat the last few years, track champion. So it's good to see David Keys up there running so good and having some luck this year. And it's coming down to the wire and the front wheel drives as well.
Yep. So it looks like some of the other classes, Hornet Sportsman, not as much coming down to the wire. Those I would say those championships are pretty much all but locked up there.
Yeah.
Kind of, what have you seen in those divisions that have kind of stood out?
Wow. Well, in the Sportsman late models, you got Austin Maynard. That guy, I mean, you can see the stress on his face when he shows up at the track. He's got one thing on his mind, and he wants to win the race. And those guys work on that car. I'll tell you, the work ethic is incredible. You see them on Facebook when you get home from the racetrack, and they're already posting about unloading the car and what damage they had and what their game plan is throughout the week. So they've got one thing on their mind, and that's to win races. And
Right.
he has over 50 feature wins to his career now. So I think it's like 53 or 54. The guy's just incredible, but he knows what he needs under him. I mean, I've talked to him in the pits, and he's like, yep, we're trying to free it up, or we need to tighten it up just a tick. He knows what a good car, is for him and driving ability, and he knows what he needs to go to the front. And then you got his younger brother, Logan Maynard. He was our street stock champion last year, and Logan's leading the points this year. So unfortunately, Logan got caught up in a pretty bad wreck Saturday night. So it knocked the whole rear clip off the car, damaged the front suspension. So trashed 2 of his shocks. We all know that shock game is pretty expensive. So,
yep.
But his wife, Gracie, posted something on Facebook showing his work ethic, and he was hard at it, and that's why those guys are so successful. And I'm not downplaying anybody else's routine in the garage or how many hours they work on the car, but these guys, they put racing above everything else.
Right. And usually when you bring a car to the racetrack, you can see the guys that really put the time and effort in. Guys that are finishing races, not breaking a couple laps in because of bolt fell off or something like that. It's those little details and in that work ethic where championships really are won.
That's right. And Austin Maynard's multi-time track champion at several different tracks, and now Logan is South Bend. So I mean, it's coming down to the wire in the street stocks, but like I said, anything can happen on championship night. We just, it's good to see the effort pay off for those guys that really put in the hard work. You can just see it, especially at the banquet when they get to relax and enjoy themselves and socialize with all the other racers. And it's just, to me, I love being part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So anything else, any other highlights so far, since we're getting down to the end of the season here? Any other highlights maybe that stood out to you, from the season so far?
Man, there's been a couple highlights. Watching Jacob Maynard finish second at the Sizzler in a car that he built to Tyler Rohrig. I mean, that's incredible right there. I mean, because we all know Tyler's work ethic, and you were talking about the nuts and bolts. I guarantee you, Tyler probably goes through that car twice before a big race like that. Jake Maynard, those guys build their own stuff. I've been to their shop. They've helped me out. They've taught me so much about racing, and to see a guy, like Jake, to have success like that and almost pull off the biggest victory of his career, to me, that was pretty amazing. And then also at the Gambler this year, we had Corey Ryman victorious 2 seasons in a row. our back-to-back gambler champion, our biggest race at South Bend, over $5,200 at the payout window. Corey Ryman, he's got that place figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, anything, we still got, you said South Bend Showdown coming up, obviously championship night, anything you're still kind of looking forward to and seeing, curious how it plays out?
Absolutely. I mean, as far as like the V8 cars and the front wheel drives and the Hornets, I don't want to sound bad when I say this, but I love seeing new guys win a championship, first time winners. I love it. It's good for the sport. I mean, it's also good for the sport to have, somebody that's won a championship win another one, because that just feeds their fire. But for the new guy coming in or the new lady, it just sets their world on fire, and it just propels them to the next level. And I love to see people move up a class, because you kind of see somebody drive the same in let's say a Hornet car, and then after 2 seasons you're like, okay, I'm ready for a front wheel drive or even a street stock. Like Sage Hannah this year moved up from the Hornets to the street stocks. That's a pretty big jump.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And she's doing really well this year. So I can't wait to see what she's going to do at the showdown and into next year as well. And one thing I do want to say that I absolutely love about South Bend and what they've done this year. Doug Fox, Brian Banta, Mike Ferrara, several of these guys got together and said, man, we got to have something for the young kids coming into the sport, for like young kids, not just to be sitting on the other side of the fence. And so they coined the Northern Indiana Mini Wedge program. And Tony asked me to announce a couple times for that, and I've probably done it 6 or 8 times this season. I absolutely love those kids. It is so much fun. And like Hayden Stremme, she's been on a roll lately. The Verdines, Evan Fox. I could name every kid. I really could. It just gives me so much joy to see the smile on their faces, and also to watch the moms and dads and the aunts and uncles, the grandparents, all the crews helping out. So yeah, they race those kids on Sundays. We tried racing them on a Saturday night, and there was just way too much going on.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just trying to pack way too much into a program, and I hate it for the kids that they couldn't do that on a Saturday. But I think our plan is to try to do 1 or 2 Saturday nights a year next year, and then keep them on Sundays.
Perfect segue. See, you didn't even know you was getting ready to segue, but go ahead, Chris.
I just got to throw in there, I haven't been to South Bend as much as I want to this year. I've had scheduling conflicts with my other photographers and my other racetracks, but I haven't missed a Sunday at South Bend for the mini wedges. As a photographer, I have to remain impartial, but Sunday is my favorite day of racing. Those kids are absolutely amazing.
Well, and you're kind of feeding that next generation, a lot of us, we kind of see how the world's going, more technology driven, and, less kids getting interested in, mechanical stuff. So to see a group of kids coming up in the racing community it's nice. It's really nice to see.
Yep.
Absolutely. And there's just a little bit less drama with the kids,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
because the kids are there to have fun. The parents want them to have fun. So I mean, it's just a great situation for the kids, and I love being part of it. Tony, everybody involved with the Indiana Mini Wedge program. It's sponsored by Granger Lawnmower Place, so we got to send a shout out to Stacy Susky and Granger Lawnmower Place. Those guys do a phenomenal job, and it's just so much fun hanging out with the kids on Sundays. And man, it's awesome. I can't wait to see where some of these kids are going to be in 5 and 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even next year. I know
or even next year.
I know there's a couple of seniors that are about to age out of the senior mini wedge class. So
that's right. I think it's
anxious to see some of them maybe getting into a bigger car.
Right. Age 5 to 14 is pretty much your ages for the mini wedge. So after 14, I think you can kind of graduate out of there and get into a front wheel drive or a Hornet. Even a street stock, I guess. Nothing stopping you. We had Cody Lawler won his first A feature
I saw that
a couple of weeks ago. One of our youngest guys. So that was really special. Again, I think about things like that. Like, oh my God, I called Hayden Stremme's first mini wedge win. I called Cody Lawler's very first street stock feature win.
Yeah, there was a month or two ago now. Bobby and Nick, I think Dylan were all in the infield, and Hayden won a feature. And I said, Hayden, how's it feel to be the only Stremmy to win a race this weekend?
Oh,
Yeah,
Shots
absolutely.
fired.
A big family like that, I'm good friends with all the Stremmys. Bobby taught me a lot. He man, I'll tell you what, that guy taught me a little bit about tires, and he gave me some slicks one night to run at the blowout at New Paris. I was doing really well and cut down a tire, but man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, Bobby Stremme, also one of my heroes racing, and it's just so awesome to see his daughter have success.
Yeah.
So transition a little bit, talk about, the years to come and whatnot, talk about maybe what mini wedges will do next year. Anything you're looking forward to next year, maybe anything you'd like to see different than what's going on at South Bend now. I think, maybe you'd add, if you had a wish list or anything.
Yeah, probably one change I would make is just try to keep the program short for the fans. I know we've heard so many good compliments the last few weeks because we've gotten done at like 10:30, even 11 is early for some tracks. So,
right.
I mean, the Sauer family and all the management, they do such a great job. I think we just have an awesome team at South Bend. Everybody seems to get along well. We gel. I think we're all there for the same reason. We all know that we love the sport, and we're there to propel the sport and also propel South Bend to its next level. And I think we all get the big picture. And so we want the night to go smoothly. But then again, on the flip side, we know that anything can happen. Red flags, somebody being transported, which is going to take an extra 20, 30 minutes. So I think we just focus on the task, and we've actually cut up and had some fun on the radios this year. And, we got radio banter going back and forth, but at the bottom line is we all know our job and we all do it to our best ability.
Sure.
I'm looking forward next year to just, see what's going to happen with the Speedway as far as what other classes we might bring in, the growth of the classes. We got a lot of Michigan cars earlier on in the season and last year. So we're always getting traveling cars, which is pretty neat, especially in the street stocks. So it's just such a tough track to race. I raced South Bend myself, and it's my nemesis. I didn't have success there. I haven't won a race yet, but you never know. I might jump in a front wheel drive or something one day and try to find victory lane. But everybody that comes in there says the same thing. Man, this place is so much faster and high banked and it's such a small track. Things happen so quickly that your reaction time, you really have to build up your senses and your reaction time to be able to give you the advantage.
Sure. Before we let you go, obviously announcement earlier this week that the Plymouth Speedway, which under Sauer's management now, they're going to be pulling the dirt up, going back to asphalt for next year. And I want to get your reactions on that and how you think that'll go next season.
I'm actually really excited about that. I raced a full season at Plymouth. I only ran like 2 full seasons my whole life, and one was at Plymouth in 2011. And I brought home Rookie of the Year honors in the street stocks. The following year, J.J. Haley won the street stock Rookie of the Year, and I believe he won the championship that year. So that Plymouth has a special place in my heart. I just love all the tracks. Each track, to me, there's something special about each track, that means something to me personally. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Sauer management team can do at Plymouth. I'm just hoping that the asphalt's in really good shape, and they're wanting to keep the infield small track dirt and run some dirt races down there, like the 600s and different things, and also the mini wedge. So I'm really looking forward. I think the Sauers are the right people to make this thing go at Plymouth. I know there's a lot of people that are on the fence either way. It should be dirt, it should be asphalt, it can't be both, this, that, and the other. I think at the end of the day, if you're a race fan, you're going to look past that. You're going to get out there. You're going to see some racing.
Yep, I totally agree. And with that, Chris, we want to thank you for taking some time out to talk racing with us, man. I enjoyed it.
Thanks. I just want to say real quick, we got some big shows coming up at South Bend. We got Championship Night this Saturday, sponsored by TechWorks Trailer Sales. And then Sunday, we have our Mini Wedge Championship, sponsored by Granger Lawnmower Place. The Mini Wedge racing starts at 1 o'clock, so we'd love to invite everybody out. And then we got our big showdown coming up next weekend. Well, we've got the Labor Day Crash and Bash, and then the showdown September 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Still a lot coming up, even though points racing's about done. A couple good events left before temperatures start dropping, the snow starts flying. So definitely make sure.
I don't know if I'm ready for that yet.
Yeah, me neither. But on a day that it's 90-some degrees outside, maybe
I'll give you
cooler
that.
weather's not so bad, right? Well, Chris, thanks for coming, man. Taking the time. Like I said, we really enjoyed it, and if we don't catch you at the track, hopefully we'll have you back on here sometime soon.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Had fun tonight, and hope everybody enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely, Chris. Thanks for coming on.
See ya.
Yep. So good stuff, man. So obviously we've been around him at the track. We've talked to him, but
we've been interviewed by him.
We're interviewed by him. So it was nice, kind of flip the script a little bit and bring him in and do the interviewing. So always a good time. So really, the only thing we got to talk about tonight is the Plymouth Speedway announcement. We kind of had him on and kind of got his thoughts on it. So anybody that missed it. So announced, was it earlier this week? I think it was earlier this week or late last week, one of the two.
Something to that effect.
I don't remember. The days kind of all run together.
It's that time of the season, man.
Yeah, I know everything just runs together. But so the micro track inside is going to remain dirt. The outside, though, they're going to try to peel up all that dirt, make it back to an asphalt or pavement track for next season. So you mentioned some people, still kind of on the fence about it. I'm kind of one of those people kind of on the fence seeing, how it's going to turn out. I liked it as the dirt facility. It was a very nice place, which, also makes me optimistic that, once we go to the asphalt track, it'll be nice there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, I was never at Plymouth while it was a dirt track. Last time I was there, it was still asphalt. I was shooting an event for CRA, but I kind of dug it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm not going to say I'm on one side of the fence or the other. I'm glad it's continuing to be a racetrack, which is
number one, right?
Yeah. The way things are going now, that's the absolute most important thing, is it's continuing to be a racetrack. It's not going to be like a business park or a fairgrounds or a strip mall or anything.
So before we go any further with that, we got Matt Moniak has a question for you. Good Acre Photography. We'll be doing photos of the Speedway.
I'm, as far as I know, I'm still committed at Shady Hill and Grundy Friday and Saturday next season. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Good stuff. Tony Alexander popping in. He's still waiting on that
I'm
shirt.
still waiting on him to show up to the racetrack.
Ooh, shots fired. But yeah, good stuff. Definitely things moving and shaking the sour. So you see, obviously, what they've done over at South Bend Motor Speedway made that quite a destination. They've done well with the Plymouth Speedway this year. Been out there earlier in the year when Kenny Wallace came. Saw Tony bebopping around, kind of doing his thing out there. So definitely looking forward to seeing what they have in store next year. Maybe we get some true super late model action out there with either ARCA Midwest Tour or CRA Super Series or something to come in and come on board. But definitely curious to see also, how that track will work with New Paris and South Bend and some of the other asphalt tracks around. Common rules. We talk about that here. And
honestly, if I'm going to take a side, that was probably my biggest concern, is how is this going to play into the other asphalt tracks? Because I know, dirt guys, nothing against dirt guys, but those cars are pretty much legal everywhere. If you got a dirt car, you can race it at a dirt track.
Right.
Seems to be the case anyway.
Yep. So, how all these tracks will kind of play together from a rules and schedule. Because you have so many tracks in an area, you don't want to, thin out everybody everywhere. You kind of want to make sure everything can kind of rotate around. So it'd be just the logistics of all of it. I'd kind of be interested to watch that play out. And, but like you said, man, we still have a track. We've got one open. It's better than, tracks closing down, obviously, like we've seen. And it's another asphalt track, which, we're asphalt guys anyways. So, see how that goes going forward. So that being said, I want to thank all of our supporters for this event. Obviously, our interviews tonight, the local racing spotlights presented by S4 Motorsports Marketing. You can find S4 Motorsports on Facebook and Instagram. See how they can get your small business's message out front with on and off track motorsports marketing. Like I said, those guys are making the show rounds this week. I think they had one. He was trying to do 3 in a row: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then he's got one coming up on Saturday. So make sure
in
you
addition to fixing the car somehow.
And the car is set to go through scaling and everything this weekend as well. So there's a lot to fit in a week's time frame before we race it next week. Big show Milwaukee this weekend.
Ooh, you know what? That's actually a good point. Got to throw a shout out to Tim Richmond. A terrible accident. Did you see the ARCA accident?
I didn't see the race, but I did see the accident and the pictures of the car.
Yeah, that was terrible. As far as I know, he's doing okay. You know, saw the message, some broken bones, just kind of beat up and sore. But other than that, you know, race cars can be fixed. People can't. Yeah, and luckily he'll be able to heal up. And and then Alex, he was running the race Sunday on dirt over there, and he had an engine failure. So definitely a rough couple of days for that team and those guys. Obviously, Alex was on our last show. Did a good interview. Was gracious with his time to come and talk to us. So definitely watching out for those guys and seeing how they do going forward. That all being said, if you want to see the S4 Motorsports guys, check their Facebook page for all their whereabouts. Good Acre Photography. You guys got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, you can do your shameless self-promotion here. We do, yeah. We just finished uploading all of the pictures from last weekend and arguing with the website and why I wouldn't want to let the pictures upload repeatedly. But yeah, we did Grundy Friday, Shady Hill, and the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which was actually supposed to be last year's, but COVID kind of screwed everything up. So now that we got everybody inducted again, I was able to hike over to the museum and shoot the dinner again. Actually, got to spend some time talking to Elmer Steinbeck and Larry Schuler. So that was, that made my night. Yeah, there you go. Had Waddell Wilson, NASCAR Hall of Famer, as the guest speaker, and he told some of the most amazing stories you could hear. Oh, well, thank you, Pat. So yeah, and then and we got my brother was at Shady Hill, and then I was out the mini wedges on Sunday, and man, I love racing. I'm kind of eager for the 3-day weekends to be in the mirror, but I'm excited for this coming one. We got Grundy, South Bend, Shady Hill, and South Bend, I believe, on the schedule for this weekend. So it's going to be a lot of pictures taken. A lot of pictures, and you can find those at goodacrephotography.com. You also find them on Facebook and Instagram pages as well. Facebook, definitely. Instagram, when I remember to post something on Instagram. Yeah, no, I'm there as well here. You can find us occasionally on Instagram, but mainly on Facebook and YouTube, kind of where you're either watching us right now. So make sure you like and subscribe to our pages. The good news for you is it's almost September, so we'll be planning a September episode. Yeah. There's just a little race called the Bentonhausen going on. I mentioned the South Bend Showdown. So yeah, still a lot of racing to cover yet, probably over the next month. And then we'll kind of figure out what our schedule will look like, what things will look like in the off season, and kind of how we'll do things. But make sure you follow our Facebook page for all that information. So that being said, I want to thank Chris Highbaugh and DJ Weltmeyer for coming on tonight, talking some racing with us, man. We always like to sit down and chat racing with the local folks. Of course, all of you guys watching us out there have watched, liked, shared this video, and thank all of you guys for support as well. That being said, make sure you guys get out to the track this weekend, support your local track, whatever it is, asphalt, dirt, and all the local racers, and we will see you guys out there. Good night.